As we grow older, the world around us doesn't always slow down with us. The noise keeps coming, conversations, televisions, traffic, notifications. But in the quiet moments, something remarkable happens. We begin to hear things we once missed. The rhythm of our breath, the gentle sound of leaves rustling outside, the clarity of our own thoughts. Silence, often overlooked, becomes a doorway not to isolation, but to peace, presence, and a deeper connection with ourselves. Many people fear silence in later life, thinking it means loneliness or being forgotten. But what if silence is not the absence of life, but the presence of something more meaningful? In this video, we'll explore how quiet time, when embraced with intention, can sharpen the mind, calm the heart, heal the body, and even strengthen relationships. Whether you live alone or simply long for more stillness in your day, these life-changing benefits of silence can transform how you experience aging. If any part of this video resonates with your journey, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs today. And if you'd like more content created with care and understanding for those of us navigating this beautiful stage of life, please consider subscribing. Together, let's rediscover the power of quiet, not as something empty, but as something full of meaning, wisdom, and peace. After 65, life is supposed to slow down. But for many older adults, the mind keeps racing, carrying a lifetime of memories, daily responsibilities, and a constant stream of noise from the modern world. Television blares in the background, news cycles repeat every hour, phones buzz with updates even when no one is calling. And beneath it all, the mind keeps working, replaying the past, worrying about the future, and trying to keep up. It's no wonder many seniors feel mentally exhausted before lunch. The truth is, the brain, just like the body, needs rest. But not the kind of rest you get from sleep alone. It needs stillness, silence, a space to breathe. Not every moment needs to be filled with voices, screens, or activity. When we create intentional quiet moments, even just 10 minutes a day, something begins to shift. The mental clutter starts to clear. Thoughts begin to line up instead of crashing into each other. Clarity returns. Take Carol, a 72-year-old retired nurse from Michigan. For years, she filled every part of her day with noise. The radio played. All morning the TV stayed on through dinner, and she always kept her phone nearby just in case. But she felt scattered, like she couldn't hold a thought for more than a few seconds. At first, she thought it was just aging. But then, after reading about the power of silence, she decided to try something different. She began her morning sitting quietly on her back porch with a cup of warm tea. No distractions, no scrolling, just stillness. She didn't expect much, but after a few days, she noticed her thinking slowed down. Not in a dull way, but in a focused, deliberate way. She could plan her day without forgetting things. She remembered old stories more clearly. She even felt calmer when speaking with others, less reactive, more present. That's the power of silence. It's not just about hearing less, it's about thinking better. When the outside world gets quieter, your inner world becomes easier to navigate. You begin to hear your real thoughts, not the ones pushed into your head by constant noise. You remember what matters and can let go of what doesn't. You can finally stop reacting and start responding with intention. This isn't about becoming isolated. It's about regaining mental control. About realizing that the noise outside often feeds the anxiety inside, and when you reduce one, the other fades too. Silence helps you reclaim your attention. It helps you reset your emotional state. And most importantly, it helps you see clearly where you are, what you need, and who you are becoming in this new stage of life. As we move forward, remember, silence is not empty. It's full of answers. And once your mind finds space to breathe, your body will follow. In the next section, we'll explore how that same silence also brings healing, not just mentally, but physically, restoring the energy you didn't even realize you were losing. Many people believe they need medication to manage stress in their later years, but they often overlook something powerful, accessible, and completely free: silence. Not just the absence of noise, but the intentional practice of stillness. A few quiet moments each day that can calm the nervous system more effectively than most realize. As we grow older, our bodies carry not just physical aches, but emotional. Tension built up over decades. The heart beats a little faster when we worry. The muscles tighten with every new concern. The mind rarely gets a break. But silence sends a signal to the body that it's safe. When the world quiets down, so do we. The breath becomes deeper. The heart slows. The blood pressure drops. And without the constant stimulation of news, conversation, or background noise, our body begins to repair itself from the inside out. It doesn't take hours or effort, just consistency. David, a 74-year-old retired mechanic from Arizona, used to suffer from late-night anxiety. He blamed it on age or too much caffeine, but what he didn't realize was that his days were filled with non-stop background noise, talk radio in the garage, television at lunch, and a smartphone that never left his side. He felt weird, restless, unable to relax. On the advice of a friend, he started taking slow walks every evening. No music, no phone, no one to talk to. Just him and the sound of gravel underfoot, the soft wind moving through the trees. At first, it felt strange, almost empty, but after a week he noticed he was sleeping better. His chest didn't feel as tight. He even felt less irritable during the day. The silence hadn't changed the world around him, but it had changed the way his body responded to it. Stillness heals. It's not about doing nothing. It's about resetting the stress response that builds up quietly and relentlessly. In a world that tells us we need to stay connected, active, and alert at all times, silence offers an act of quiet rebellion. It gives your nervous system a break. It clears the cortisol fog and helps your body enter a state of calm restoration. That's why seniors who regularly embrace silence often report feeling more grounded and less overwhelmed, not because their lives are easier, but because their bodies are no longer stuck in fight or flight mode. And this healing goes deeper than physical signs. As your body begins to calm, your mind finds space to open up, to reflect, to process, and to release the emotional weight you didn't realize you were carrying. Silence doesn't just help you relax. It invites you to reconnect with a slower, more intentional rhythm of life. A rhythm where stress doesn't dictate your day. A rhythm where stillness becomes your medicine. And as we'll see in the next section, once that stress fades, it leaves behind something powerful. The clarity to reflect with honesty and the space to make peace with your own story. Growing older brings with it a natural urge to look back, to retrace steps, to revisit memories, and to quietly ask ourselves if we lived well, if we chose right, or if we left too much unsaid. But reflection without space can become noise. The constant busyness of life, even in retirement, often gets in the way of meaningful thought. Silence changes that. It's not just about peace and calm. It creates the right environment for inner dialogue, the kind of honest conversation you can only have with yourself. In quiet moments, you begin to see your story more clearly. You notice the turning points, the mistakes that hurt, the victories you forgot to celebrate. You start to understand your younger self, not to judge, but to forgive. You begin to release the need for perfection and instead find meaning in resilience, in learning, in growth. You realize that you don't need to fix the past to be at peace with it. Sometimes simply accepting that you did the best you could with what you had is enough to soften even the hardest memories. Eleanor, now in her 70s, never considered herself a reflective person. She always kept moving, taking care of others, staying busy, filling each hour. But lately she started a quiet morning habit, sitting at the kitchen table with a small notebook, writing down whatever thoughts come to mind. Some days it's a memory from long ago. Other days it's just a feeling she needs to let go of. The writing isn't elegant, it's not for anyone else. But in the silence, she finds clarity. She realizes that some things she held on to, old guilt, past arguments, words never spoken, don't need to be carried any longer. By giving herself time and space to reflect, she starts to feel lighter, not just emotionally, but physically. Her breath slows, her body relaxes, her days feel more open. Reflection is not about regret. It's about integration. It's about looking back without getting stuck, about weaving your past into your present without letting it weigh you down. Silence makes that possible because it removes distractions and expectations. No one's asking you questions. No one's telling you how to feel. You're just listening to yourself, to what still hurts, to what still matters. And from that space, peace can finally grow. Once your past is no longer a source of pressure, your presence becomes a gift, not just to yourself but to the people around you. You stop reacting to old wounds. You start responding from understanding. And as your heart begins to settle, you'll notice a quiet shift in your relationships too. Because when you make peace with yourself, you naturally become more present, more generous, and more able to truly connect. In the next section, we'll explore how this internal stillness leads to deeper bonds with fewer words and more meaning. In many relationships, especially later in life, people often believe they need to keep talking to stay connected. Some are told that speaking often helps preserve memory or keeps the mind active. And while there may be some truth in that, there's another kind of connection that doesn't require constant words. It's built in the quiet moments, in shared silences, in presence without pressure, and in listening that goes beyond waiting to speak. As we age, we come to understand that most people don't want advice. They want to feel seen, heard, and accepted as they are. And sometimes the best way to offer that is through silence. Not the silence of disinterest, but the silence of full attention. It's in those moments when we set aside the urge to respond or fix that deeper bonds are formed. Because when you give someone space to speak, to express without interruption, you're not just listening to their words, you're honoring their experience. James, a former teacher in his late 60s, used to fill every conversation with stories and opinions. He believed sharing was the key to staying close with his adult children and friends. But over time, he noticed their eyes wandering, responses shortening. It wasn't rejection, just fatigue. They didn't need more from him. They needed room to share their own world. Slowly, he started holding back, not out of distance, but out of care. He let others speak first. He allowed silence to stretch a little longer before answering. And what surprised him wasn't how quiet the conversations became, but how rich they felt. His daughter started calling more often. His grandson opened up about school. His friends lingered after coffee. Without trying to lead, he had become the steady presence they leaned into. All because he had learned to listen, not to respond, but to understand. Silence, when used with intention, becomes an act of generosity. It tells the other person, I don't need to control this moment. I'm here fully and I'm listening. And in that stillness, relationships deepen. Trust grows. Emotional barriers begin to fall. Because people sense when they are being truly heard, and that kind of listening is rare. It requires patience, it requires humility, but it also gives back far more than it takes. And as you begin to listen more deeply to others, something else happens. You start to listen to yourself. Not the voice that reacts out of habit, but the quiet awareness that notices how you're feeling, what you truly need, and how present you are in the moment. In this way, silence strengthens not just the bond between people, but the bond between your inner world and the one around you. And that inner clarity sets the stage for something even more powerful, the ability to live each day with mindfulness, attention, and a sense of peaceful presence. Let's explore how silence can help you return to the present moment and rediscover joy in the simple, ordinary rhythms of daily life. Silence has a way of stripping away the unnecessary and bringing our attention back to where it belongs, the present moment. Not yesterday with all its memories, not tomorrow with all its unknowns, but now. In the rush of daily routines and the background hum of modern life, it's easy to miss what's right in front of us. The warmth of sunlight filtering through the window, the soft clink of a spoon against a teacup, the quiet rhythm of your own breath. Silence doesn't just reduce noise, it sharpens perception. It's like holding a magnifying glass to life's smallest moments and realizing how much richness they contain. When you embrace quiet, you stop multitasking. You stop rehearsing conversations that already happened or worrying about ones that haven't. You begin to notice the moment as it unfolds, clear, vivid, and deeply real. Margaret, in her 70s, used to fill every spare minute with small tasks. She believed being busy gave her purpose. But over time she noticed that while her days were full, her heart felt distant. Moments blurred together. Meals were eaten, but not enjoyed. Conversations happened, but her mind was elsewhere. One afternoon she decided to sit in her garden, without doing anything. No phone, no book, no to-do list, just sitting. At first it felt strange, almost wasteful, but then she noticed the breeze on her skin, the distant bird song. The colors around her seemed brighter. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't thinking ahead or looking back. She was simply there. And in that presence, something softened inside her. Mindfulness isn't a complicated technique. It's a return to simplicity, a practice, of fully showing up for your life as it is, not as it was or as it might be. Silence helps you enter this state naturally. It offers the space for your attention to settle. It reconnects you with your senses. And through that connection, a sense of calm arises, not from escape, but from clarity. You begin to see that peace isn't something you chase. It's something you notice when you finally stop running. And with that awareness, decisions become clearer, moments become deeper. Even ordinary tasks, folding laundry, making tea, walking down a hallway, carry a quiet richness when done with full attention. When you live in the moment, you conserve your energy instead of scattering it across regrets and worries. You begin to trust the pace of your life. You let go of the pressure to do more, fix more, or prove more. You simply be. And in doing so, you find a rhythm that feels grounded and right. As we'll see in the next section, this mindful presence also protects something deeply valuable, your energy. Because when you stop feeding every distraction and learn to stay still, you preserve your strength for what truly matters. After 65, energy becomes something you feel more acutely. You wake up knowing there's only so much to give, and where you choose to spend that energy starts to matter more than ever. While the body may not move as quickly, the world around you certainly doesn't slow down. Conversations can drag on without purpose, devices blink and buzz without end, and distractions seem to multiply by the hour. The truth is, much of what drains you each day isn't physical, it's mental. It's not lifting bags or walking to appointments that tires you most. It's the constant flow of unnecessary information, the endless need to reply, respond, and react. But silence offers another way, a quieter way, a wiser way to protect what's left of your daily strength. Evelyn, a retired social worker in her 70s, used to believe that staying busy kept her sharp. Her days were filled with phone calls, background news, and social apps. She didn't realize how much it wore her down until she started to notice how easily she became irritated, how restless she felt at night, and how hard it was to focus on simple things. Then, almost by accident, she experienced silence. Not dramatic, not planned, just sitting still one afternoon without turning anything on. The stillness wasn't empty. It was a breath her mind had been waiting for. She began to make small changes, short periods of silence during her day, choosing not to answer every call, turning off the TV during meals. Within weeks, she noticed something remarkable. Her energy returned, not because she slept more, but because she wasted less. That's what silence does. It doesn't give you more hours in the day, but it stretches the energy you already have. It shields you from being pulled in too many directions. It helps you avoid the emotional fatigue that comes from overstimulation. Every conversation you don't need to have, every notification you don't check, every moment you spend simply breathing in a quiet room is a moment you conserve. And what you save, you can reinvest into the things that truly nourish you. Maybe it's a walk, maybe it's a real conversation, maybe it's simply enjoying a meal without distraction. The point is not to withdraw from life, but to stop leaking energy into things that don't feed your spirit. With age comes a certain wisdom, the ability to choose what deserves your presence and what doesn't. You no longer have to keep up with everything. You no longer need to prove anything. Silence helps you return to that truth. You realize you don't need to chase the world to live well. You just need to sit still long enough to hear what your body and mind have been trying to tell you. In that stillness, life becomes clearer, and what matters most finally has room to rise to the surface. That, in itself, is the quiet power of aging well. Silence isn't just peaceful, it's powerful. For seniors over 65, embracing quiet moments each day can lead to greater emotional stability, deeper mental clarity, and better overall health. In a world that constantly demands your attention, learning to pause, breathe, and listen can become a daily form of emotional self-care. Silence lowers stress naturally, sharpens your thinking, and helps you reconnect with what truly matters. It's not about being alone. It's about being grounded, calm, and clear. The beauty of aging is that you finally have permission to stop chasing noise and start choosing peace, whether it's 5 minutes in the morning or a quiet walk in the evening. Stillness gives you back the energy, focus, and emotional strength that distractions slowly drain away. In silence, you gain control, not over others, but over your own state of mind. And that is where real power begins. If this video resonated with you, please share your story in the comments. What quiet habit has helped you most? How has silence changed the way you see your day? Let us know and share this video with someone who might need it. You never know who is searching for calm but doesn't know where to begin.